There are some tasks important to teaching that you'd rather not be doing. So, this video is meant to offer you a tutorial on automating those types of tasks. Specifically, we'll be looking at the creation of a chatbot. The tool I'll be using for this is Google Gemini. Before we get too far into this, it's important that you understand some background prior to creating your first chatbot using Google Gemini. Gemini calls these gems, and when you Google tips for creating these gems, you'll see that they provide resources, but these instructions are what I want to draw your attention to. Within the gem, it's helpful if you tell the chatbot specifically how it's going to be acting by providing these 4 instructions: persona, task, context, and format. You can read these, I won't read them to you. However, I will show you that I've already done this myself. This document you see is very simple, taking those same 4 concepts: persona, task, context, and format. And you can see that I offered a little more information to put into the gem. For the persona, I'm letting the chatbot know that it's going to function as an instructional coach to support me in my role as a classroom teacher. Under task, I specify the course that I teach, known as Professional Communications, in the state of Texas. So I'll be uploading my state standards, which are called TEKS, the Texas Essential Knowledge and Skills, for my course, for that chatbot to reference when offering information back to me. This can help me align to specific standards, which is what I'm going to show you today. It also can help generate ideas for you that might be standards aligned. So with the context and the format, I finished that out. You can pause on this, read it more in depth if that's what you want to do, but that gives you a little background. All right, let's get into creating that gem. You can see I Googled Google Gemini to get to the actual product itself. Once you bring up Gemini, it'll take a second for mine to load. I'll click on the gems. You might need to log in order to get to this point. And then as all of this is coming up, avoid this button right here and move down to the very bottom where it says new gem with the plus symbol. So I'll hit that plus sign, and then that will bring me up to the creation stage of the gem itself. Let's start with the name. So I'll name my gem Speech TEKS because that's what the course is often called, is speech. Then in the description box, I'll put instructional coach for now, knowing I can come back to offer more description later on. And under the instructions, this is where you're going to provide that information I gave you previously. So let me copy over the 4 boxes that we talked about: persona, task, context, and format. And I'll paste them right there. And then the next step for me is to provide knowledge for it. This is where I'm going to upload my state standards in the knowledge portion. So once I bring that up, I will upload the file. I happen to download it to my downloads folder. Once I have it loaded in, it looks like it's good. And now I can hit save. Now I can go through the process of uploading files to it and asking questions about those files, so pre-existing lessons, changes it might make, the way that they're aligned to standards. I could also ask it to help me generate certain questions based off of those standards, but what I'm going to do for you is more of the former. So I'm going to upload some notes into this gem. I just finished teaching a unit on nonverbal communication, so I think it makes sense to upload the notes that are filled in for that. So now that the notes are in there, I can prompt the gem with what it is I want to do. Let's say that I work at a school district that requires me to align my lesson plans with the state standards, which is pretty common. But maybe that's not something I had to do at a previous school district. It's a pretty labor-intensive task, so I could simply ask my gem to do that. So let's type that in. Analyze these notes from a nonverbal communication lecture and align them with the state standards. Tell me where each concept references back to those standards. And now we see what it comes up with. Keep in mind as it's generating this that AI is not foolproof. I highly encourage you not to simply upload lessons or assessments or whatever it might be and blindly trust the output that it gives you. However, I will say that I have done this a number of times and I've found that it's been pretty perfect. It is a time-saving opportunity. As we scroll down, you can see that by having me define what nonverbal communication is, it tells me the state standard it comes from, 11B, which is going to be one that it looks like is pretty popular. But then next, when I'm asking students to talk about the functions of nonverbal communication and then the nonverbal cues associated with them, it adds in another standard under that same strand. We see something else coming in from a different section of the standards later on with the characteristics of nonverbal speaking, talking about audience adaptation, which is in fact something I cover in my course. So, seeing the way it's starting to align, I can see benefit out of this. It might be something that speeds up the process for you, and that's exactly what I want. We made it through another tool. Google Gemini, like I said, can speed up some of that process for you, taking on that role as a teaching assistant or instructional coach, whatever it might be that you need in the moment. AI is not meant to replace us as teachers, but it is meant to take on some of the workload. And if we can find ways to continue doing that, I think it's worth it.